Long before history remembers them as heroes, reformers, or pioneers, they are often dismissed as troublemakers, liars, or threats to the established order. The vast majority of meaningful changes began with someone who was first told to stay silent. Before every reform, there was a voice that society tried to dismiss, suppress, discredit, and contain. This pattern is not confined to history books. We see it whenever someone chooses to speak against a powerful system. In the case of Hanni, a young artist who came forward to speak about her experience in the Korean entertainment industry, her decision to break her silence was followed by a new battle, the battle to be believed. To have your reality questioned, distorted, altered, and rewritten before your own eyes is a deeply painful experience, one that can leave wounds far beyond what others can see. And when that person is a victim standing against powerful forces, against those who hold influence, money, and control the narrative, the weight becomes even heavier. History has shown us that silencing those who dare to speak up often ends either in tragedy or in a heroic story. Those who dare are often met with resistance, but their voices can become the very force that leads to change. This is often what happens when victims speak out against powerful figures. They are questioned, attacked, and pressured into silence. Even knowing how powerful media narratives and public opinion can be, and understanding how easily they can be manipulated, we still participate in silencing the person who had the courage to speak up. What message does that send to other victims? Does it encourage them to come forward, or does it teach them that staying silent is safer? In Hanni's case, the backlash went beyond disbelief. A portion of the public did not simply question her account, they participated in constructing a different narrative around it. Context was stripped away. Selective information was elevated above the whole. Assumptions gradually replaced facts. Fragments became evidence. The focus shifted from understanding her experience to discrediting it. Others accepted that the incident had occurred, yet downplayed the workplace ostracism Hanni experienced, saying it was not bullying, not abuse, and that it could not affect someone that much. But ostracism is an act of exclusion. It is the experience of being labeled as the other, the outsider. Researchers have shown that ostracism threatens our fundamental psychological needs: belonging, self-esteem, control, and meaningful existence. It unleashes a cascade of physiological, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral responses. Had ostracism not been painful, had it not been a punitive act, jails and exile would never have endured as some of humanity's oldest forms of punishment. Perhaps most heartbreakingly, Hanni, a Southeast Asian girl working in Korea, was a teenager when she bore the weight of this and still trusted the world enough to share. Knowing the cultural context of the situation, one can only imagine the many questions that might have crossed her mind. Why me? Is it because I'm a member of NewJeans? Is it because I'm a foreigner? Is it because I am Vietnamese? Knowing this incident wasn't an isolated one, knowing that Hanni's visa information was leaked and that she was subjected to countless racist slurs online, knowing that her trainee videos were leaked, and knowing that she has endured nearly 2 years of hatred simply for speaking about her experience, alongside the fear for her safety and well-being, you can't help but grieve for what she has been forced to endure and wrestle with the painful wish that we had done better to protect her. But the quiet, aching realization that someone who found the courage to speak was left to carry so much alone continues to linger, as the victim is yet to be vindicated. Hanni's courage could have a profound impact on the industry if we choose to listen as a society. By speaking up, she compelled the Korean society to confront a fundamental question: who deserves workplace protection? When Hanni testified before the National Assembly, Representative Oh Yoanna, then a member of the main opposition Democratic Party of Korea and chair of the Assembly's Environment and Labor Committee, said that the committee chose Hanni to testify in order to highlight how the definition of labor is changing. He noted that new kinds of workers have emerged due to technological advancements, and many of them are not covered by traditional labor laws. While acknowledging that artists' and trainees' contracts may differ, Hanni also spoke about the need for better working conditions for her peers, seniors, and juniors. "We are all human," she pleaded, a truth that many seem to have forgotten. Moreover, following her appearance before the National Assembly, Representative Jong Hyek-jung introduced what has come to be known as the NewJeans Hanni Act, a bill aimed at protecting workers in the popular culture and arts industry who fall outside the scope of Korea's Labor Standards Act from workplace harassment. As of today, the bill remains pending. Regardless of its eventual fate, its very introduction speaks to an enduring truth. Meaningful change begins when someone finds the courage to expose what the law has yet to protect. To understand why a bill like this is needed, I would like to honor the story of the late Oh Yoanna. Before her death, in 2024, the young MBC weathercaster endured sustained workplace mistreatment and left behind a letter describing what she had experienced. Following an investigation, South Korea's Ministry of Employment and Labor concluded that she had indeed been subjected to workplace bullying. Yet because she was not legally recognized as a worker under the Labor Standards Act, the ministry had no legal grounds to enforce its workplace harassment provisions. As her mother said after the ruling, "I'm holding on to get justice for Yoanna, but this outcome is devastating. It is absolutely unacceptable." Her story is a painful reminder that recognizing harm means little if the law cannot protect those who suffer it. Yet her case is far from an isolated one. Across South Korea, millions of people work outside the bounds of traditional employment, including freelancers, contract workers, temporary workers, delivery drivers, artists, and many foreign workers. Because many of them fall into legal blind spots rather than traditional employment relationships, they often remain outside the full protection of the Labor Standards Act, leaving them vulnerable when workplace abuse, exploitation, or unsafe working conditions arise. Hanni's testimony began with a deeply personal experience, but it quickly evolved into something much larger. It opened a conversation about the millions of non-traditional workers who remain in the gray areas of South Korea's labor law. For a brief moment, the discussion was no longer about one idol or one company, it was about the changing nature of work itself. Yet that conversation gradually gave way to personalities and rivalries. That shift matters. Expanding legal protections inevitably places greater responsibilities on those who benefit from the existing system. As long as the public debate remains centered on individuals rather than institutions and corporations, the structural problem can remain unresolved. The burden of public scrutiny ultimately fell on a young girl, Hanni, while the broader conversation about institutional responsibility and legal reform faded into the background. A textbook case of issue displacement and deflection. Many ridiculed Hanni's willingness to speak because courage, confrontation, and change bring discomfort to those who have already submitted to the powerful. To those, we ask, how can change begin if we remain silent about what is lacking? Do we count on the generosity of those who benefit from the status quo to recognize the shortcomings of the system and bestow upon us the favor and blessing of change? And to ourselves, we ask, until when are we going to act all nonchalant about others, weaponizing our voices and platforms to suppress victims? We are aware that speaking up is costly, but are we going to let the cost be borne by 5 young women alone? If speaking up always comes at a cost, then perhaps the question is not whether victims are brave enough to speak. Perhaps the question is whether the rest of us are brave enough to listen.